you Them not to break down the door. So that's the only reason they didn't do a dynamic entry, which they very well may have. So
I'm really glad that you could say this part of it, because I wasn't awake. I was still asleep when all of that happened.
yes. And so I had to wait in the hallway, and I knew immediately what this was about because it had happened only a few weeks prior in Toronto. And I tried to tell them this, but there was no conveying that. And so they went to go get Clara, and I told them, she's asleep right now. She sleeps like a bag of bricks. You know, you're not gonna get her out. And, well, hello?
Hey, Destiny, what's up?
Hi,
So, just listening to everything about the SWAT team and stuff. All right, so when I was 17, somebody had falsely accused me of robbery. So the police had a search warrant to come to my house because they thought I had a gun. Like the person who said I robbed them had a gun, and they sent the SWAT team. And what they did was it was about 8 officers, and I remember this so clearly because I had work at Blockbuster that day. So I was literally about to get up for work. But so what they did was when they got there, 4 of them went around back and 4 of them stayed around front, and they saw my stepfather through the kitchen window, and they like signaled to him. They didn't even knock or anything. They signaled to him to come open the front door. And of course, him not knowing what the fuck's going on, like, you know, he just sees a bunch of fucking SWAT team outside his house. He comes and opens the door, and they literally just tell him to step aside and walk in. They walk up the steps, and my door to my room is open, and it's right at the top of the steps. And I literally, this sounds so crazy because this is what Kef was saying happened, but I literally woke up with guns, like with assault rifles trained on me. I don't know what the procedure is in Canada, but I'm just saying it was a similar situation as like they thought I had a gun. They sent the SWAT team. So I'm just saying, like police in these situations, like especially SWAT teams, they handle it different in different situations. So just like when you're going into this, and I just want you to keep that in mind, because I guess like maybe like just looking up the SWAT procedure in Canada is probably a good start to see even if what she's saying could have any that would be an easy way to call out her lies, basically, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Yep, that's all. All right.
They actually had to go inside the apartment, like in our front foyer, almost right to our bedroom door, and they yelled at Clara while she was in bed. So she got up. They were saying, Clara Sorrenti. Note that they did not use her dead name at this point either. They said, Clara Sorrenti, we know you're in there. Come out with your hands up. And she had been totally asleep. She got up and came out of the bedroom door frame, and at that point, she saw a rifle pointed at her. She had been awake she was woken by the barking orders of a police officer. And so yes, someone did not wake her with a rifle pointed 3 inches from her face, but essentially as soon as she woke up,
I in a state of undress. I was naked, and I had to put on a pair of pajamas that was like on the floor before I could even go out to see the police officers.
They were graceful enough to allow that. But yes, they most certainly had a gun pointed right at her within seconds of getting up.
Yeah. And it's just been really frustrating seeing this misinformation campaign about this, where, Clara's partner just opened the door. The police didn't barge in. They didn't have guns. They weren't aggressive.
Oh yes, and when I saw them coming for Clara and they went inside and were yelling for her, that was probably hands down the scariest moment, because she was totally taken by surprise, and I knew she would be, and she screamed. And in that split second, I was like praying in my heart, please don't shoot her, because she was, you know, she jumped, she was making a sudden move, and I was like, please, no.
She jumped, she was making some... Wait, how does this guy know all of this? I thought, how does this didn't they say they were outside? How do they know that she jumped and made a sudden move?
And I'm so thankful she's here today that she wasn't hurt.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that was actually probably one of the worst experiences in my life.
Likewise.
But I'm just glad to get that out there. I'm really sick of people who aren't involved, who don't understand how anything related to policing or law in Canada works, trying to speculate on what actually happened when they don't have all of the information and they weren't there. So yeah, that was Alex's part in it. Wait, Alex, what happened when you did you end up calling the police?
I also like how she dropped the dead name part too. So where does the dead naming come in? Because I'll do this when I do my manifesto where we go side by side to compare it. She's got like 3 or 4 different versions of this story out now. Where I thought she said they came in and they were dead naming her immediately, but now it's, yeah. They rehearsed this art. Yeah, obviously they rehearsed it, yeah.
Inquire about me?
My sister had while I was at her house, and yeah, they had they misgendered you while conveying information about you being incel.
Health insurance doesn't cover.
When you get closer with Optimum's 5 gig fiber internet, you can go farther faster with the fastest internet in the tri-state. Get Optimum Fiber for as low as $30 a month.
Except they actually couldn't tell us where you were basically all day. They couldn't tell us if you were at the courthouse, the police station, at the detention center. I saw you get dragged off, and I literally did not know where you were in the justice system.
Yeah, I still remember being in custody, and they were telling me that I would probably have to stay overnight in prison because I needed to go to a bail hearing, but then they let me go. But I had no way of knowing this and no way of contacting anyone until they let me go. Yeah, the whole thing was really ridiculous. And then the only other thing that I see that's another piece of misinformation that I see a lot, from even in the statement, the allegations as to how Miss Sorrenti was addressed during her time in London police custody, using an incorrect name, her dead name, and gender. It's important that he said, while I cannot confirm any conversations which might have transpired during Miss Sorrenti's initial arrest, and that's when it happened. The activity in the holding cells is monitored.
Well, But now hold on. I hope she's gonna get into this because Alex, the person that she has on the line, said that they didn't misgender her when they initially entered the apartment, that they called her name. Clara, come out with your hands up.
And I never made a statement about any bad things that happened while I was in custody. I would absolutely assume that when the police know that these things are being recorded and can be part of public record, they would be more careful with how they go about.
Wow. So what, is she assuming that the cops were being transphobic because they knew they weren't being recorded? Even though supposedly, according to Alex, they used your correct name and pronouns when they first entered?
About their business. Some people were saying the reason that my name got into the system in the first place was because prior to the age of 16 or 17, when I legally changed my name, I had a rap sheet, which is not true. This was my first arrest in my entire life. I have never been charged with a crime.
Well, then the police were just lying. Then I guess the police chief, whatever you call this guy, he literally just lied, I guess, when he made the statement then. Because I'm pretty sure that came directly from him. The reference to Ms. Sorrenti's former name appears to stem from existence of prior police reports. When an individual comes into contact with the police for whatever reason, an entry is made into our records management system using the name provided at the time. This report is merged with prior reports. Oh, or maybe she's gonna say it wasn't like a criminal charge, it was just an interaction I had with the police. She might say something like that, actually. Maybe. That's exactly what she's gonna say. It wasn't because of a charge or whatever, it was because of an interaction I had with cops in the past. That's what she's gonna say.
I've never been arrested before or spent time in a cell. And in the statement itself, it says, when an individual comes in contact with police for whatever reason, an entry is made into our record management system using the name provided at that time. That report is merged with prior reports, if any, involving the same person with the same date of birth. And I think I understand why it got in the system in the first place. Because I was trying to think, okay, when is a time when a police officer took my information? And when I was, I believe it was when I was 17 years old, before I had legally changed my name, I attended a pride parade and I had a super soaker. I saw that there was like a hate preacher standing with a sign about gays burning in hell. So I started spraying him in the face with the super soaker. And he took the sign, he covered his face, so I started spraying his crotch with the super soaker. And a police...
In the United States, this is assault, by the way. But, so now it's starting to sound like she did have a kind of rap sheet, or she was at least arrested for something, but...
This officer ran over to me and said that that's assault.
It is.
Give me your information. So I had to give the police officer my information. And I think that's how it got into the system. Because I can't think of another time that I had to interact with police before then.
Wait, so she's saying that a cop took her information but didn't arrest her or anything? I guess it's possible. Did cops, I don't know, I can't speak to Canadian cops. In the United States, if they're putting your shit in a database, they're arresting you, at least. Or who the fuck would just take information down to type it in somewhere and not do anything with it? Dude, where is Mad Tips at? Do you guys ever do this? But you're... Oh, he's not even here right now. Not always in the US. I know they'll sometimes ask for an ID and shit, but would they really write a name down and like enter it in some kind of database? If they're not making an arrest?
So, yeah, it's not assault. They let me go because it's a really silly thing to press assault charges for.
Well, I mean, it is assault.
Literally a super soaker.
Oh, I guess it could be for like a written warning or something, maybe.
God, it was really dumb. So like, as far as I know, is there anything I missed, Alex?
I think that's really the main gist of the arrest portion, which is really the most traumatic in terms of, you know, having the guns pointed at us, the misgendering that occurred. Yeah, that whole arrest.
Wait, so when was the misgendering? Because now I'm hearing different stories. Alex said that when they first entered the apartment, they didn't misgender. Kethel said that when she was in the jail cell, they never misgendered. Are they going to get to the part where the misgendering happened? Now, supposedly that was when they written on the bags of evidence, but I don't think they've said that yet.
That is how it happened. It wasn't straight up dynamic entry. They didn't knock the door down, but they didn't come politely knock, and then I answered the door, and I did not say, "Oh yes, officers, please come in." That's not at all how it happened. And the police statement might lead you to believe that, but it was arguably a really substantial omission on their part.
Yeah. I mean, their statement is a PR statement at the core of it. I don't expect them to acknowledge how bad the situation actually was. And there's no way of verifying it besides first-person testimony because there's no body cams in the London Police Service. Yeah, but that was like basically it. Everything that people are saying is just more misinformation. When the police chief himself is referring to it as swatting, when the deputy chief of police is saying there was no child pornography on the hard drives, and when it's already confirmed, I talked to a reporter with the London Free Press before I even started this stream, there is no body cam. There's no body cam footage. And I never at any point stated that I experienced transphobic harassment or any sort of abuse by the police while I was in custody.
Wait, does anybody have a link to her direct statement initially? Because I thought, like, the first one about, like, help, I need 100K, whatever the fuck. I'm curious what her verbiage was in that first statement. Also, where the fuck? There's, like, gonna be, like, one alien on this planet that's, like, cucking me out of clearing. You guys aren't looking at that stuff, are you?
On August 5th, I was woken up by London Police Services pointing the assault rifle in my face. I was told later that at 6 a.m. that morning.
It's right at the fucking beginning. It's the first thing she says.
I'm asking when she talks about the misgendering part. It's right at the beginning?
Yes.
How long in the beginning?
2 minutes.
What?
In the first 2 minutes.
First 2 minutes. Okay.
In the city of London, Ontario, stating that I had a firearm, that I killed my mother, and that I plan to go to City Hall and shoot every suspected person I see. I was shown the email while I was being interrogated in the police custody. While the emails were riddled with grammatical errors and read more like something Nicole would say than something I would sincerely say, the police took it seriously. Not only that, the email said my name was Clara Sorrenti, but also stated what my dead name was. It was an obvious attempt to make the police humiliated. During the arrest, the police officer referred to me by my dead name. I was booked in the station under my dead name.
During the arrest, they used my dead name. Does that not just contradict exactly what she just said? Am I crazy?
That I experienced even started this stream, there is no body cam. There's no body cam footage. And I never at any point stated that I experienced transphobic harassment or any sort of abuse by the police while I was in custody. So, I think that's it.
Okay. Yeah, that's all that I remember from the arrest, and so I'm really glad I could be here to help clear the air because there's been a lot of bullshit speculation around this.
Yeah, it's really upsetting, and I already said it. Just the speculation, it's people who only really have a vested interest in drama, and they're completely outside of... Most of them aren't even Canadian. They don't have any clue how any of this stuff works. I think one thing that was interesting. In the same article where Amar interviewed the deputy chief of police, he talked to a criminal lawyer in Toronto for the past 15 years and said that, well, the show of force from the London Police Service is not uncommon. Given what was available to police, they should not have shown up at Sorrenti's doorstep. They were dealing with a massive threat here that they perceived as real, but they definitely should have been more diligent. And it looks like if they did a couple of computer checks, or if they made a couple of phone calls, this could have been diffused and discovered to have been false. So that being the case, I don't think it should have even occurred.
How? What is that? What does she mean when she says that? Like, the FBI have shown up to my house 3 times, but I don't blame them. Like, if you're getting people sending you videos saying I'm gonna kill conservatives and have guns and all this shit, and people are saying I'm like fucking kids or whatever, like, I don't necessarily blame them for showing up and asking questions. Like, even Ludwig was smart enough to say that he understands why when they get swatted. He knows why the cops show up in force the way they do. They kind of have to. Like, does she expect, if she really is making terroristic threats, does she think the cops are gonna holler, hey, just check it, you don't plan on killing me, right? And she's like, no. Like,
moreover, the lawyer noted that anytime you have this type of show of force, someone could get injured, someone could get killed. So it was a very serious situation. Yeah, Alex, thank you so much for clearing the air.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. If you just want to like, maybe shut the screen for a moment of the camera, and I'll slip out of frame.
Okay, I'm gonna go into BRB mode, and then we're gonna go over the policy proposal stuff.
Bye, chat.
dude, these things are showing up, and I'm not even picking them up on scan. I don't think it's possible to clear the planet, is it? It's not possible to do it running around. I think they're always just gonna be randomly popping up in areas that I can't, like, fucking see. Or there's no way to, like, get them to stop spawning it. Look at this guy! He just showed up! Why? If you kill them all, they stop? Yeah, but here's what I'm saying. I don't think I can kill them all. Like, now I'm going to another area. They could be spawning anywhere on the map right now. Just use turrets to defend your ship. No, I don't want this whole... Look, the planet is like almost extinct. I don't want there to be 50 trillion dumb fucking biters everywhere. And I want to trim the scan because my saves are taking forever right now too. And... Link me Jesse's dumb fucking thing. Go. Wait, do we want to listen to part 1? Should we listen to part 1 or just part 2? Listen to both or just part 2? No volume tab, Jesse? Jesse?
If there's any reason.
Yeah.
Situation match, we'll just wait after the lunch.
Right? Like, This is the thing that has driven me crazy about this site. or about the dialogue, the discourse about this site, is that I see people on Twitter talking about how Kiwi Farms, how there's suicides, how it's death threats, how they dox people. And it's like, you are saying this on a site where that same shit happens.
Yeah. I mean,
They're like,
no, it's been.
why aren't you trying to get
And in
Twitter
some
shut down?
cases, the same people complaining about Kiwi Farms and celebrating getting shut down, I know for a fact, participate in what can only be called harassment campaigns against people they hate.
Dude, okay, if people are pissed about Kiwi Farms doxing Keffels, the people who are outraged about this, how do they feel about Kiwi Farms doxing Marjorie Taylor Greene? I would really love to know, because I think they'd be fine with it, because Nazis bad.
Yeah.
Alex Goldman.
Alex Goldman is a good example. He former host of Reply All, before that show melted down completely in a ridiculous controversy we covered that Alex would not lift a finger to defend his friend over. But he tweeted some shit about, I don't want to make this about our internet beef, so I'll be brief, but he was like, oh, Jesse Single's defending Kiwi Farms, which I wasn't. Alex watched...
He also called me your much dumber host. I think slightly dumber. I do not think much dumber.
Right, that's online harassment.
Much dumber. That's also elitist just because you went to Stanford and I went to Yale. I think that's elitist.
Jesus, why the fuck are these guys so educated? Fuck me, dude.
Alex watched as all of media Twitter piled on his friend PJ in the most ridiculous, over-the-top pile.
Wait.
Like you said before I left, right? You're presenting me this kind of like monolith of progressives. I'm just asking you to agree with everything. Anytime I try to add any like, context or nuance to it, you tell me that I'm changing the subject. So yeah, it was frustrating, and it took a second to kind of bring it. Like, I feel like I'm alright. Again, okay. I like your content. I like your content. So yeah, no hard feelings, I guess.
Yeah, it's a provocative conversation, and I've been told.
Or I was in cut the line. Stop recording.
Don't do anything funny, guys.
Stop recording.
Frustrating person to talk to.
Yeah. Experiencing it firsthand is different from watching it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm good to talk about
Okay.
Again, like the way I started it when I was talking about I think that the whole thing.
Now, these are journalists writing under their own names, and they went to good schools, so they're not doxing him, they're not using slurs, but it's the same fucking shit. It's the same shit. They're trying to ruin his life, trying to make him destroy his reputation. And Alex briefly unblocked me, and we had a brief exchange that wasn't toxic. I flipped out because he said that we were gleeful. PJ got fired when we defended. It's the opposite. We defended PJ when Alex didn't say shit. Anyway,
Alex said no.
I said a few.
And like, PJ doesn't like us. We're not friends with this guy. Alex was his fucking partner, and he said nothing while PJ was being destroyed.
This is already such a complicated episode to follow, and we're just adding a whole other thing. Long story short, I said to Alex also said that actually it's good to make fun of people who are racist or transphobic. Well, you know what? They decided your buddy PJ Vogt was racist. That was the claim. PJ Vogt's a racist because of some fucking Byzantine union bullshit at Gilbert. And half of media Twitter piled on to PJ Vogt in a way where you don't know what someone's mental health is. Like, getting piled on sucks. To watch your entire community turn against you, that's the kind of shit that does lead to, it can contribute to at least, things like suicide. We've had instances of people killing themselves. It's not monocausal. You can't say it was because of the online harassment, but it's a contributing factor. So,
except when it comes to Kiwi Farms. When it's Kiwi Farms,
they're the only factor.
It is monocausal.
Right. So that to me really captured it. Watching someone like Alex Goldman, who has first-hand experience of his friend getting brutally raked over the coals for nothing, and saying, no, it's good to harass people. Like, fuck that. So I found there to be so much hypocrisy from the folks gleeful as this site's being pulled down. Like you said, the doxing is awful. It also is illegal. And we're talking about the question of whether the site should exist at all, not whether whether we should go to it or whether we should like it or celebrate it. We're in like a more existential internet area now. Should it be allowed to exist? To me, that's where you get to the question of, is it doing stuff that's illegal?
And this is not, like, go ask a normie on the street what Kiwi Farms is, and they're going to tell you it's a place where kiwis are grown. That's it. Like, people don't know about this site. It doesn't have until now, it didn't have a high profile outside of hyper online spaces.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, we got an email. I got an email from someone who basically was trying to defend the farms. I didn't agree with all of it. I'll just read this one thing. Also, I'm sure you've come across this line already, but it is totally against board culture to interact with the bull cows in any way, let alone harass or threaten. Anyone who does post interactions or threats gets the equivalent of downvoted to hell, and the mods are quick to believe the worst. That said, there's that plausible deniability thing, because you have 2,300 pages of people talking shit about Keffels. The idea that combined with posting her personal information, is not going to lead to some people harassing her is kind of ridiculous, is it not?
Sure, but like some people harassing her, I mean, I think there has to be a really clear line between like credible death threats, things like swatting, and making fun of people online, even if it's cruel, even if it's mean. Like, this is shit that happens to everybody who has a large platform. It happens to you, it happens to me, and at some point, you have to learn to ignore it. Or you turn into someone like this.
Just tweeting it out, still demanding satisfaction.
Yeah, demanding retraction.
Anyway, I don't think it's credible for Kiwi. Like, I think it's true that the board culture is against direct harassment, but I think they're a little bit full of shit here. Also, I talked to a streamer who hates Keffels, and he was like, that's not true. Some Kiwi farmers do. So I think like it would be silly to pretend there's no harassment that directly comes.
Oh my god, who could that streamer be?
I mean, that's the thing though, like, Twitter is a platform where harassment is encouraged by the very algorithm. Like, the trending topics feed people to harass.
Literally. This is who you should make fun of right now.
Right. Like, the Queen just died, and Twitter has been 3 days of TV.
That's what
It's not that different from Kiwi Farms.
This is why no matter how, like, we can try to be somewhat measured with Kiwi Farms. It's a pretty shitty place. It incites harassment. We will never be able to get to a place where we will explain exactly why it's different. Because other than the slurs, which is it's aesthetic, the slurs thing is not really. People don't kill themselves because they are slurs, because everyone's telling you to kill yourself and telling you you're a bad person. They're just not that different. And I wish people would like grapple with that a little. When I explained this to Goldman, he responded by blocking me again. He's not. People don't want to. Anyway.
Okay, wait. One more thing about this. Kiwi Farms. So is the idea that Kiwi Farms harassment transcends Kiwi Farms, or is the idea, or does it stay on Kiwi Farms, right? Because there's a difference between like harassment, like showing up in your inbox and people emailing you, or showing up at your house.
Do you agree? Yeah. I think that at this point, probably over the past like 3 or 4 years, a lot of the progressive communities have become like insane, to where like bullying, harassing, encouraging people to like implicitly like kill themselves or remove themselves from the internet, etc., etc. I think it's become a little bit too common in these far left circles. You're starting to see like body shaming, bullying, dick jokes, anti-male jokes, anti-white jokes, etc., etc. I think that the culture is pretty similar to any like online bullying community, especially when you look at figures like Keffels or like Demon Mama, or even Hassan or Vosh. Dude, those Vosh statements, I still can't believe the Vosh statements against that one British girl. Holy shit. That was wild. I think the cultures are pretty similar. The only difference is progressives feel like they have like a moral mandate because of who they bully, so it's a little different for them.
And actually going to the site and looking at like yourself, digging into it. And
there's still a difference between people on Twitter engaging in harassment and Kiwi Farms being dedicated to harassment. Okay. Where's Abbott to say, you're gonna get clipped, bro? Okay, so Kiwi Farms, by and large, okay? This is how harassment comes from Kiwi Farms, okay? Kiwi Farms is not a site where you go to harass people. It's a site where you go to gossip and talk shit about people. That's generally what Kiwi Farms is. You find somebody, they seem like a fucking joke, you make a thread about them, and then you and a bunch of other people gather all the information you can about their life to basically make fun of them. Now, other people will go to Kiwi Farms to dig up information about people to harass them with that information. That's how harassment comes from Kiwi Farms, right? When people want to bug Mr. Medicare, or Jesse even said it himself, if you want to get dirt on somebody, you go to Kiwi Farms, you say they have a thread. They have a thread, you use that information to harass the fuck out of them. You can use it to dox them, or they've already doxed, you use it to swat them, etc., etc., etc. That's how harassment kind of can come from Kiwi Farms. But Kiwi Farms itself is not a harassment board. It feels stupid to say this because if you've ever read a single thread in your entire life, you'll know this. Nobody in threads is talking about like, okay guys, we're gonna hit his Twitter offline here. I'm trying to break into his email account. Somebody should DDoS his fucking stream when he's doing this. Oh my god, we should mask like this. Those conversations don't happen on Kiwi Farms. People don't do that. You might find somebody that stumbles into a thread and does shit like that, but usually they'll get told to fuck off, or people, we're not your personal army. That was a popular 4chan one. People will thumbs down, or they have their little fucking flare that they put on threads and they don't like it when people post shit. But it's not supposed to be a board where everybody goes to harass people. It's not like a rating platform, okay? It's not like the X boards on 4chan. You either know or you don't know. It's or invasion. Fuck, that was me. But like, yeah, there's that's just not what they do at Kiwi Farm. So it's when somebody says like, oh yeah, Kiwi Farm is like a targeted harassment hate raid site. No, it's not. That's just not what they do there. Anybody that spent any amount of time on Kiwi Farms knows that that's just not what it is. But when farmers say shit like, oh, no harassment whatsoever comes from our site, bullshit. You know there are a lot of people that go to Kiwi Farms to look up those threads, to use those threads to harass the fuck out of people. That's obviously true. Everybody knows that's the case. But it's not like a rating board or whatever.
2,000 fucking pages making fun of me. You guys, does that make any sense?
Yeah, but the whole claim is about the former, about it extending off it. It was just on Kiwi Farms.
Okay, that's my question.
Yeah.
Is it okay?
That's the claim, is that it leads to harassment beyond Kiwi Farms by Kiwi farmers. So I was surprised at the difference between how the site was being described by a lot of outlets. They really made it out to be a place where like a bunch of people gathered together to find a way to kill and assault people. The reality is it's a brutal and vicious place, but it just is.
Does Kiwi Farms have any excuse for why doxes are posted? What purpose does that serve other than enabling harassment? It's like, think of like the most autistic gossip board you could ever fucking find, and that's why they post shit. They want to like meticulously collect any detail ever, because chances are what they'll use if you are actively posting on Kiwi Farms, what you're really looking to do with the docs is use that docs to gossip about the person or find more embarrassing details about the person. So somebody might dox you to find out that like you still live with your mom, or somebody might dox you to find out that like you're paying too much for your house, or that you're lying about which state you live in, or shit like that. That's why they post docs, because they're just autistically and meticulously collecting like every piece of info that they can get on somebody's life. But they're not doxing you so that they can like swat you or show up at your house to like bully you or shit like that. That's not generally why those are posted. How the fuck is that not harassment? I mean, like, it's because it's not supposed to leave the site. If you want to autistically quibble with me over semantics, you could do that. But like, there's a difference between a board that's made, like an invasion board that you're making to go and set up hate raids, versus people that are like autistically gossiping about you. I don't know if I would consider it, in its idealized form, it's not supposed to be harassment. But realistically, some of the stuff probably gets taken and used as harassment. Meteor point defense. Wait, that's not what I'm looking for. Or other people will go to the boards to find stuff to harass you with. Defense installation. That's what I'm looking for. Would your mind change if some internal messages leaked from like admins and stuff that showed an intent to harass? I don't know. I don't think so, because the boards themselves are fairly self-policing. If the admins wanted to make the intention to harass, they do a really bad job at it, like so bad that it wouldn't matter. I think something that would change my mind is if you could show that there were, and there might have been other threads on that site, that like, where everybody in the thread was like, we're gonna go and harass this person, or we're gonna go and bully this person. That would make me change my mind, but like some secret intent of the admins wouldn't be enough. Or you'd have to actually show that there were threads set up for like purposes, or there were a lot of people in those threads harassing and being supported by others harassing people. I don't think that is the case.
Using that way, because they do have those pretty strong norms against touching the poop. And again, as soon as this specific threat popped up, 7 users reported it, and it was pulled down by its own author 14 minutes later.
And that's the poutine threat, right?
The poutine threat. As it's not don't touch the poutine. Something similar happened with the other threat on Kiwi Farms. On September 4th, 2 days prior to the one I just talked about, Keffels tweeted,
do people from Kiwi Farms itself even go after people like that? I feel like anytime I've heard about the site, it's when someone pokes them. Generally, they're supposed to be pretty self-contained. I think that's how they generally fly under the radar too, unless people are actively fighting with them. So no internal messaging from admin center would change your mind. Nothing conceivably they could have written to each other privately. No, but you'd have to show me threads where it's happening. Hate raids and targeted harassment don't happen because admins are talking about it behind the scenes. They would come from the users of the site. Now, unless you're saying that like internally the admins themselves were like harassing people. There were like 5 admins who are like, okay, we're gonna take all this info, go harass me. How much Kiwi Farm is being directly or indirectly used to harass people but not from its core user would be needed to convince you? What do you mean by I don't, hold on. Back up, okay? Arjun, okay, hold on. Emotionally unplug yourself from what I'm saying, okay? You have to shut down the lizard part of your fucking brain right now, okay? Because I think you're, inside your brain, you're hearing like, Destiny's defending Kiwi Farms, I have to fight, I've got a white knight. No, shut the fuck up. Unplug, okay? I've already told you that Kiwi Farms is certainly used as a place where people go and find information to harass people. Also, there are probably people on Kiwi Farms themselves that probably go and harass people. And that almost absolutely. There are probably people on my site that go and harass people. Almost absolutely. But what I'm saying is the general culture of Kiwi Farms was not to accept that type of behavior. If you posted on a thread and you said, all right, guys, I'm going to go and get this dude's Twitter, like, let's all go and spam shit him, people are going to downvote you, make fun of you, and call you a loser, and no one might show up and ban you from it. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that no one has ever done it ever. Nobody's ever gone to Kiwi Farms and harassed me. I'm not saying that. Obviously, there are people on those threads that do that. Of course there are. I'm just saying that it wasn't the general culture of the boards. From what I've seen. Now, maybe there are other threads where that is the case. I've only read like 5 or 6 threads on Kiwi Farms. And not even all. I didn't read all of Keppel's. There's like 20 million fucking pages. But I mean, I've read all of my thread. I've seen Near's thread. I've seen threads on some of the people surrounding me. Ralph, Nick. I don't know if Nick had his own thread or maybe just show up on others, one where show up on others. DSP's thread. I think I said Ralph's thread. So it facilitates harassment, the super element. Suppose you have a form that facilitates illegal activity, so like Silk Road's thoughts. I don't know, but Silk Road would be different because I'm pretty sure Silk Road facilitated actual illegal activity. I don't think there's anything illegal about harassing on the internet. Do you think the culture of Kiwi Farms led to an increase of harassment of wall cows? Yeah, for sure, of course.
Death threats to the police has become a regular part of my life because of this campaign. This is the second bomb threat this week. This post threat, I'm gonna read the slur, don't get mad at me. This is what the person said. Fuck this dumb training hunt. I'm planning to fly to Ireland. Is Keffel still there? I seriously want to shoot that dumb bitch. I will plant bombs around the place they're staying in as well. Someone give me the address. Alright, let's go. Keffel says, I've had to talk to the police more in Ireland than I have in Canada. This website should be illegal.
I feel like Keffel shouldn't have told people that shouldn't have been in Ireland.
Yep.
To circumvent some problems here.
So this threat was not from Keffel's own thread on Kiwi Farms. It was from the thread on the Drop Kiwi Farms hashtag, which of course was just more people talking shit about Keffels. If you go to Kiwi Farms, you will see people mentioning this post. The post itself is gone. The first response I can see is someone posting this user's history with their user image, which is a furry. This was posted by a furry, because of course
it was a fucking furry.
Of course, at some point this story was going to involve a furry. They only have 2 posts in their entire user history on Kiwi Farms. One is this one, and the other is one claiming that Brenton Tarrant, the Christchurch mosque killer, didn't do anything wrong, and that there should be an even bigger massacre against Muslims in the UK.
Oh wow, nice.
So the implication is clear by this other Kiwi Farms poster posting their user history. They're just a troll. They're only here to post like horrific stuff. After posting images of their history, this Kiwi Farms user says, quote, "Go back to wiping Biden's ass. Glow N-word."
You gotta say it, Jesse.
No, he doesn't.
Say it.
Go back to wiping Biden's ass. Glow N-word. This was liked by 18 users, and the post was taken down after. The post was taken down by the moderators. Katie.
Okay, what's a glow N-word?
A glow N-word, according to Urban Dictionary, a government agent, FBI, NSA, CIA, ATF, making bait posts on forums and image boards to entrap individuals or gather intelligence. The purported goal of glow N-words is baiting potential criminals or gather intelligence about a particular online community to reveal their intentions or beliefs. So do you get what's going on with this user accusing the other user of being a glow N-word?
I got it, yes. This person is saying that you're a fed.
Yeah, it's called Fed posting sometimes. The next Kiwi Farm user responds, anyone with a join date over a year that doesn't post regularly should be preemptively banned, like as a security precaution. The next user, I honestly believe it's a fucking furry. Not even feds go that low on the septic thing. Here you go, Keffels, with neg rating and everything before you fucking spin this shit. Translated, that means look at this screenshot I have showing this post has a negative rating before you use this as evidence against us.
So these users, they're like, oh fuck, this is going to be used against us.
Except it's more they're just mad because they view it as like a really clumsy Fed posting effort. Like another user. Love how both Fed posters chose specifically to say, quote, plant bombs, end quote. So in short, everyone in the thread responding to it starts making fun of the person for the violent threat, treating it as obvious bait to involve the authorities or get Kiwi Farms into more PR trouble. No one supports the post and it was quickly taken down. A few more quotes. Fuck off, cunt, glow harder. I guess glow means like be a Fed? One more. Like clockwork, and all the retards on Twitter will eat it up despite it being obvious bullshit.
Arsters.
So those were the two violent threats on Kiwi Farms. To put them in context, Keffel's thread on Kiwi Farms, before it was locked by Moon to try to show things out, was about 46,500 posts. One person.
Christ.
When they locked it, even after they locked it, there was no way I was going to do it. It was just an insane amount of just bilge. There's the separate thread dedicated to the Drop Kiwi Farms hashtag was about 3,500. That's how I got my estimate of more than 50,000 posts about Keffel's or her campaign on Kiwi Farms. That's likely an underestimate because I'm sure they talked about her elsewhere on the site. 2 posts out of 50,000 had violent threats. They both went down within like 15 minutes.
And that's it? That's it. This is just 2 posts, so a tiny percentage of these posts with actual violent threats. And the entire site gets not just taken down, but wiped from the Internet Archive because of these 2 fucking posts.
I have looked pretty hard. Like I said, it's impossible to read the whole thread. It's too long. I asked on Twitter. I talked to folks around Kiwi Farms, who of course have an agenda, but they gave me other information I needed that didn't always make them look good. No one, most importantly, no one in Keffel's camp has posted other examples of Kiwi Farms issuing violent threats.
Well, what about off Kiwi Farms? I mean, this became such a huge story. Were there threats on other sites?
Here's where we get to the very weirdest part of the story. So the thread that got the most attention actually involved 4chan rather than Kiwi Farms. It was posted by Keffel's herself on August 31st, mid-afternoon East Coast time. So I'm not sure whether that was before or after Cloudflare defended posting Kiwi Farms. But she said, yesterday, as I was ending the stream where I gave updates on the hashtag Drop Kiwi Farms campaign, this was posted online just outside my address. Shortly afterwards, Northern Ireland police came to the apartment I'm staying in because someone had attempted to swap it. I'm going to return to this point, but the security here is ridiculously lax. Given that Keffel's is at this point on the run for her life, that's what she says. So first Ellen, the friend she's staying with in Northern Ireland, publicly announces what type of food they're going to get. And it's poutine, which is probably rare there, like at least say fish and chips.
I'll just save you a spoiler. It is very rare there. I checked. But Jesus.
And then Keffel's publicly posts an image from 4chan that reveals the apartment building, or at least the neighborhood they're in, because that was the whole point of posting.
This makes it like harder to feel sympathy for her if she's, because a lot of this does seem to be for attention.
She's giving the 4chan poster exactly what he wants. This is how 4chan operates.
Right.
Like, look, we got to.
Right. And also here's a picture of the house that I'm staying in if anybody wants to go there.
It's just unbelievably bad offset. But I don't want to take away from the fact that it's an undeniably weird and menacing note. Katie, would you like me to read it to you?
Please do.
Okay. They use Keffel's dead name, the first name from before she transitioned. I'm just going to say Keffel's instead. I'm a gentleman.
You're such an ally.
Loyalists against Shrews. Keffel's out of our community. Kiwi Farms, all Shrews. 38/2022, that's the date. Ulster Kiwi Farms Force. For Sneed and Ulster. Heil Josh the Corn Lord. Ethan Gunt Ralph told me to do this. Katie, should we start a segment called Yes, Yes, No, perhaps?
This might as well be Welsh.
Okay, I'll try. I'm not going to even try to get this whole thing. I'll just try to sum it up. True, and we went over. It's a derogatory term to say, like, basically a clout-chasing sort of fake trans person. The political stuff, in a Northern Irish context, like, I'm just going to read from the Wikipedia page. So we're fucking talking about the Troubles.
Oh my god.
The late 20th century conflict in Northern Ireland, which I know nothing
Did
about.
this guy kill the queen? Or does he like the queen?
We're going to fucking get there, dude.
We're gonna get to that. Okay.
Wikipedia. This is the Wikipedia entry on the Troubles. The conflict was primarily political and nationalistic, fueled by historical events. It also had an ethnic or sectarian dimension. Despite use of the terms Protestant and Catholic to refer to the two sides, it was not a religious conflict. A key issue was the status of Northern Ireland, aka where Belfast is. Unionists and Loyalists, who for historical reasons were mostly Ulster Protestants, wanted Northern Ireland to remain within the United Kingdom. Irish nationalists and Republicans, who are mostly Irish Catholics, wanted Northern Ireland to leave the United Kingdom and join the United Ireland, aka be independent. So that's what the loyalist part of this thread is referring to. This is someone living in or near Belfast who sides with England and thinks Ireland should be part of the UK, and they're likely to be Protestant rather than Catholic. Ulster Kiwi Farms Force is, I guess, a takeoff of the Ulster Volunteer Force. That was a loyalist paramilitary group that faced off against the IRA and naturally was responsible for atrocities. So that's a little bit of recent Irish history, because that's where we are, Katie.
Okay, and who is Josh the Corn Lord and Ethan Gunt Ralph? Well, Josh the Corn Lord, I can imagine that's Josh from Kiwi Farms.
Yeah, so that's Josh Moon. I don't know what Corn Lord is. I almost certainly don't want to know. Ethan Ralph is a fairly gonzo right-wing internet personality. I've been aware of him since Gamergate. He does the Ralph Retort website. If it still exists, I don't care. There's a lot of stuff about Ethan Ralph on Kiwi Farms. He was involved in multiple legal entanglements that provided Kiwi Farms with a lot of like bull cow milk. Ethan Ralph fucking hates Kiwi Farms.
Yes,
He's
he
like
does.
a right or far right guy who hates Kiwi Farms. If you search Twitter, you'll see that his relationship to them is roughly the same as Keffel's, like not a fan. So, saying Heil Josh the Corn Lord, Ethan got Ralph told me to do this is arguably confusing because those two people hate one another. Unless it's like trolling, like I'm false flagging this and trying to blame it on Ethan.
Right.
I don't think it didn't really seem like journalists picked up on the weirdness here because I think the folks writing about the story mostly had no genuine familiarity with Kiwi Farms or the bizarre cast of characters ensnared in this dark corner of the internet. Also, I'm just a pathetic lowlife, so I recognize names like Ethan Ralph when I see them because I've wasted my life and have basically nothing left to live for.
Yeah, this does seem to be a continuing issue when news reporters try to understand internet drama, is that you have to spend a lot of time within these communities. They have a specific language in the various different communities, and if you just drop in and take things literally, you're gonna miss a lot of shit. You're missing a lot of layers.
Katie, how can you expect reporters to learn about a community they're reporting on when it's so dangerous to hold up line?
True. You know what? They need a furry. They need a furry like Crazy Lizards to go in and be the bomb sniffing dog for them.
So this strange image posted to a website that wasn't Kiwi Farms, unfortunately, was treated as evidence.
But it references Kiwi Farms.
Yeah, and that was why it was treated as evidence that Kiwi Farms was responsible. Here's how Vice reported it. Sorrenti found out that someone inspired by the thread on Kiwi Farms had posted a picture of themselves standing outside Murray's apartment while holding a threatening message. Moments later, the police arrived and told her that someone had reported a shooting at her apartment, and so on. So, someone inspired by the thread on Kiwi Farms. Look, I know the thing says Kiwi Farms, but there's no reporting the back of the idea that this person was inspired by Kiwi Farms, to which you might respond, you, Katie, being a jerk. But Jesse, they said they were inspired by Kiwi Farms, to which I would respond, yes, and someone emailed the London, Ontario city government and said they were Keffels.
True.
Katie, can we shit talk journalism a minute before we continue with the story?
Just this once.
Should we do housekeeping first?
Yeah, we should do that.
Oh my god, this episode's a beast. I can't wait to edit it. Oh, to be fair, I've been fucking hunched over Tor. Like, man.
You have been spending months on this.
Okay, yeah, we're Block Reported. We're podcasts that we do a lot of stories about internet bullshit, blockreported.org. Our subreddit is blockreported.reddit.com. We're doing a live event in Arlington that's sold out. Tough luck. Thank you for folks who bought tickets. That's crazy we sold that shit out, right?
I know, yeah.
October 29th, look for tickets on Craigslist. I bought half the tickets. I'm just going to sell them for $1,000. We have 2 hopeful live events to announce soon, but that's been the case before. So, anything else for housekeeping?
Yes, we have a subscriber program. If you go to blockedandreported.org, you get 3 free episodes of this podcast every month.
Nope, they're not free. You pay for them.
Oh, right. 3 extra episodes every month. We just recorded a fun one a couple days ago about some drama among a #vanlife influencer. It's quite the story.
That shit was crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy.
It was crazy.
Yeah, and it's also the best way to support the show. So the reason that we can keep doing this and we don't have to go get jobs at Safeway, which Jesse wouldn't be able to do because they have rules against that sort of thing, is because of our subscribers. So please go to blockandreported.org and join us.
If you have a staunch no Jesse's policy. No Kiwis Farms workers. They've been working on this shit the last couple days. Made me so thankful for our 3 million subscribers because like can you imagine if I put all this time into Tor? I still don't know what Tor is. The other thing is blockreportedpodcast@gmail.com for any feedback. I'm sure our Kiwi Farms episode won't generate feedback. Also, we got some great advice entries. Send us an MP3 if you have friend or relationship advice of a non-sexually explicit nature. We'll do a segment or an episode on that coming up because based on what you've heard so far, who better to give you advice about how to live your life than us?
Yes, speaking of non-sexual content, I also have a little correction to a prior episode. Can I do that here? Okay, we got an email from a listener after our investigative reporting on daisy chains in the last episode. All right, so the listener says the sex act that he is describing in the these days is a reporter for Men's Health.
Ethical Voice Line.
Ethical Voice Line. He's an advice columnist for the magazine Men's Health, and he described a sex act called a daisy chain. And our listener says the sex act he is describing is called a Lucky Pierre. A daisy chain is 3 or more people all performing oral sex on each other. E.g., person A would be performing oral sex on person B performing oral sex on person C, and person C would be performing oral sex on A, and it's a chain. So, correction to that, what we were talking about was a man, I don't want to describe it, it's a family-friendly show.
It's fine. You said Daisy A instead of person A. Regardless,
you can go back and listen to that if you want. Our description of what a daisy chain is not.
If you want to, yes. Yeah, which I'm sure you do.
So thank you to that. I will not mention his name, but thank you to that, to our Twitter friends.
Let's talk shit about journalism, Katie.
Let's do it. I love nothing more.
The reporting on this story has been like ridiculously god-awful, and sort of everything we criticize about modern journalism, the certitude, the complete lack of any distinction between activism and journalism, the confident proclamations about subjects journalists need to be about, it's all there. So one very basic thing you'll know if you follow online harassment or online culture is that trolls constantly do false flag attacks. During Gamergate, for example, ask you to Google that if you want to find out. You sometimes see targets about
Actually, don't Google it because you'll get a bunch of wrong information.
During that, you would fairly frequently see people get death threats like, I'm with Gamergate and I will kill you. Some of the time, and probably most of the time, if we're being honest, those folks had nothing to do with Gamergate. They were trolls, almost always from places like 4chan or 8chan. These are sites that are very nihilistic, and they consist of this sort of person who wants to call in a bomb threat and be like, I, the person issuing this bomb threat, am Tom Smith at 54 whatever lane. The whole hope is that in addition to the chaos caused by a bomb threat, police will show up at that person's house. So trolls love to stir up trouble. And one of the biggest ways to stir up trouble at zero or little risk to oneself is to threaten someone with death and to attribute that threat to some third. For example, while I was poking around, I had to do a lot of searches on the Kiwi Farms archives. One snapshot of the site has this message at the top from Josh Boone. Ongoing DDoS attack. P.S. Attacking a specific lolcows thread isn't going to make me assume it's that person and start up a crusade against it. You fucking moron. You get what he's saying there?
Yes, but please parts of it.
He's saying, like, Josh Boone, who is, whatever else he is, he's savvy about the internet. He's saying, if you do basically a hacker attack against a thread about a lolcow, I'm not going to be like, oh, it must have been the lolcow who launched this. I'm going to retaliate, because that's how trolls work. They try to cause that kind of trouble.
Okay.
So watching this unfold, I was a little bit gobsmacked by these journalists who just weeks ago had reported on a false flag swatting that targeted Teslas. And then suddenly they're saying, well, if an anonymous post says it comes from an online community, the threat comes from an online community. It's just very ridiculously credulous, right? Am I missing something here?
No, I think you're right. And I think, again, this gets to the fact that a lot of online reporters do not understand what community is.
Once the snowball effect started and a bunch of journalists learned about Kiwi Farms for the first time and decided to write about it, the reporting got worse and worse. So I'm reading this coverage and I'm pulling my hair out at how off base it is. So, like, the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation includes this account from Liz Fong Jones. She's a former Google employee who's been targeted by Kiwi Farms and has been encouraging others to take it down. Here's a quote from the article involving Trans Lifeline, which is a suicide hotline for trans people. Liz Fong Jones said they meaning Kiwi Farms, tried to slander Trans Lifeline's character, and when she pushed back online on their accusations, they published her personal information in the forum, including her home address, her biological parents' names, and a photocopy of her gender and name change. I was minding my own business. I was trying to support a crisis hotline for trans people, and now I was in the crosshairs of these people, etc. So, the doxing and harassment she experiences is awful, and something Kiwi Farms does all the time, but this whole account of the story involving Trans Lifeline is just a fucking lie. Kiwi Farms thought the people who ran the Trans Lifeline were grifters. Kiwi Farms think Liz Fong Jones is friends with them. I haven't looked into that. But it turned out that, lo and behold, they were grifters. If you go to the Suicide Hotline's 2017 tax filing, they say our founders stole, I think it's $375,000 from us. Wow. So there was a major scandal at the Trans Lifeline, like a famous suicide hotline, and all that gets translated into the Canadian Broadcasting Corp saying she was just defending the innocent suicide hotline against slander. So it's bad journalism, and the only way you can write that story that poorly and be that credulous toward Liz Fong Jones' account is if you don't know anything about this.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Trans Lifeline story was not reported, but did anybody report that?
No, I don't think anyone covered it except that the thrifty
I've never heard
scammers
of this in my life.
and I should be clear, they've cleaned up. I think now they're a genuinely vital resource. But yeah, they got puff piece coverage for running it. They appeared to have been criminals. According to the people who now run Trans Lifeline, this money was stolen. And no one paid attention to it except Kiwi Farms. And there's this crazy backstory involving Corinna Cohn trying to raise awareness of their lack of safeguarding, like background checks. And supposedly one of the grifters running Trans Lifeline showed up at Joshua Moon's house to confront him. That's how heated it got.
Did she get his address from Kiwi Farms?
So, yeah, that's just an example of, like, just really brainless coverage of this that just isn't tuned into the history of the site and the many controversies. Okay, that brings us to CNN. Sorrenti, better known by her online username Keffels, became the target of a harassment campaign organized on Kiwi Farms, a notorious online forum where users are openly transphobic, after she began speaking about trans rights on Twitch, a live video streaming platform popular with video gamers. Katie, based on what you know about how journalism has performed in these sorts of situations, do you think the scrap between Kiwi Farms and Keffels can really be explained solely by the fact that she was just speaking about trans rights?
No.
Alright, so there is a thing called victim blaming, and it's real. If a woman gets raped and you ask what she's wearing, you're victim blaming. but the concept has sort of ballooned outward and is now just an excuse for people to turn off the brain. So someone can both be a victim, but also be a figure of genuine controversy, and those can both be important parts of the story. Like, only toddlers think the world is divided into good and evil. And there's a tendency, and journalists. And there's a tendency in a lot of reporting about online harassment to assume that as soon as someone is established as a capital V victim, they should be treated as a saint, and everything they claim about everything should be taken at face value. But that's just not how the world works. I feel like we've seen a lot of examples of this, right?
Oh, yeah.
This lesson is really important in the case of Keffels because it's led to some really off-base and confused reporting. Keffels is a complicated figure. She's done some obviously good stuff. At one point, she raised, I think, $250,000 for this LGBT organization in Texas. That seems legit. There's also a kernel of truth to the idea that anyone who's an outspoken advocate for a political cause on Twitter or Twitch and who gets a big enough platform is going to come in for some level of abuse. I would argue that's true whether you're on the left or right, to be fair. But Keffels is a very aggressive flamethrower of a figure. She seeks out conflict with just about everyone. It's part of her brand. She's been engaged in a long, brutal by internet standard conflict with Destiny. He's an influential Twitch streamer who has 700,000 followers on that platform, meaning he was making a very good living. In March, he got booted off from the platform under questionable circumstances, apparently in part because he questioned whether the UPenn trans swimmer Leah Thomas should be able to swim on the women's team. Keffels tweeted the following. This is Destiny's Twitch channel right now. That's with a screenshot of how he was kicked off. Hey, Steven, I just took away your primary source of income. Please leave me alone and stop bullying trans people for content.
Is Steven Destiny?
That's me.
Steven's Destiny. Then she follows up. These followers are going to get mad, so I'm going to clarify now that I didn't report anything and he did this to himself.
Wait, and all he did was question whether Leah Thomas should be allowed to swim on tennis, which she shouldn't.
I was kind of mean
the
too.
precipitating moment. I think there'd been one other time when during like an actual riot after George Floyd, he made a remark about like you should send your rednecks to shoot their rioters.
Yeah,
which is not good. That was a while ago, but I think what got him kicked off was Leah Thomas.
Isn't he a leftist?
He's overall on the left, yeah, but he has like quote unquote heterodox politics.
Gotcha.
So that's far from the only example of Keffels like seeking out drama and just consistently throwing rocket fuel at it. And again, I'm not victim blaming. I'll explain why this matters in a minute. Keffels delights in the destruction of her opponents, and that includes threats to dox them. Like she's straightforwardly pro-doxing as long as the target is a bad person. There's no bad tactics, just bad targets. At one point she tweeted, I found out who the Kiwi Farms user was who doxed my mother and sent him a photo of him with his mother and addressed him by his name, and he deleted his account. Unlike him, I'm not posting it online, but if he comes back, I know where he works and will forward his entire post history to his boss.
Alright, so she's into revenge?
Obviously, the problem with that sort of vigilante justice is you're trusting the person, Keffels in this case, to make the right decisions, like they're doxing the right person, and the person deserves it. More recently, Frederick Brennan, who deserves a whole episode of his own, he was the guy running 8chan, which is one of the most toxic sites on the internet, but he's since reformed, and he's now fighting against online harassment, including Kiwi Farms. He tweeted that Keffels bragged in a Discord chat about telling someone to kill themselves. Someone also posted a Discord chat in which Keffels clearly appears to be threatening to dox someone else. This is someone who goes by Winter on Kiwi Farms. So, Winter posted video of this Discord chat with Keffels. Keffels says, I have your face and name. I know what schools you went to. I know every member of your family. Excited to see how they all react when your information gets sent to them. Keffels also claims they hired a private investigator to look into this person's background, and Keffels drops the name of many of Winter's friends and family members, though it's unclear whether Keffels has accurate information. They also have this exchange. Winter, how much did you pay for this info, by the way? Meaning the info from the private investigator. Did it come out of your GoFundMe money? Keffels, Winter, I don't know how much money you think I made, but I was going to make 6 figures this year before the GoFundMe happened.
And when did this happen, this conversation with Winter?
This was just in the last few days.
Oh, okay. Okay, gotcha.
So she seems to be saying like she has plenty of money and is just putting this GoFundMe money into savings. We'll get back to that, but that wasn't really the tone of the YouTube appeal, which says like, help me, my life is at risk.
Wait, how much did she get for the GoFundMe?
$100,000. So Keffels just in general isn't really concerned about doxing or protecting other people's private information. At one point, Liz Von Jones posted an address and phone number in Ukraine, supposedly connected to a company hosting Kiwi Farms. Keffels quote retweeted it and told her followers to do your thing. In any other context, everyone would be like, that's targeted harassment. To tweet out an address and say, do your thing in any context.
Yeah, totally.
So yeah, Keffels is always involved in drama. Again, I'll explain why that matters in a minute. Also, her security habits suck. She just seems completely incapable of taking the most basic precautions to keep herself safe online, to the point where her own fans have been like, why do you keep revealing where you are? Just film in front of a green screen, stuff like that. Another wrinkle here is that she is sometimes, at least arguably, being dishonest. This includes in her fundraising efforts, as I just alluded to. So when she first went public about her swatting, the first thing she said in that video is she woke up with a gun in her face. Here's a clip of the 2 ways she described the incident.
On this fifth, I was woken up by London Police Services pointing an assault rifle in my face. I went into the hallway and then saw that assault rifle. I screamed and I thought I was going to die.
Okay, so these are two different versions of it.
Yeah, and
This cannot have happened.
we know the first one didn't happen. She's walking. Even the latter one is arguably misleading. The chief of police of London, Ontario, on August 11th issued a statement. He said that the cops knocked on the door midday, so maybe she was woken up. If she's woken up, it's by a nap, and that there were armed officers there. But it wasn't a dynamic entry. They didn't barge in the door. They knocked on the door. So
Okay, so they knock on the door. She opens the door. The cops are there. Did they like swarm the apartment, or did they say, "Ms. Keffels, can we come in?" or whatever?
they just said that she was polite, and they just arrested her because at the time they were investigating her. But there's no sign of a scary situation with an assault rifle.
I mean, it is. Yeah, still like getting arrested for something you did.
So it is possible, given what Alex described now on Keffel's stream, that maybe if they were in the hallway and they pointed an assault rifle at her when she came out of her room. Unfortunately, we don't have body cam footage of that. But
That's incredibly scary, of course. But she was not woken up to an assault rifle.
Yeah. And how long was she held?
That's a good question. Not that long. It was fairly. There are some other red flags in her fundraising efforts. So, like I said, she raised around $100,000. The GoFundMe link was in the video description. In the video, Keffels makes certain claims about the uphill battle she and her fiance will face to get their stuff back and the precarity of their situation. I did a quick cut of all the relevant things. We just listen to that.
He seized my fiance's cell phones and laptop, as well as their external drive, which contained the only copy of their PhD thesis and other important university documents. Because of the negligence of the police, we were both left functionally unemployed, and I have spent thousands of dollars replacing our computers and cell phones, so our lives aren't completely.
did she really buy new computer cell phones in one fucking day? Is that like, Jesus, like, got released from the fucking cell, time to go to fucking Best Buy? Or I'm so confused about that part. I'm confused about everything. This is when she was still on full live, I guess.
Story about what happened to us. Even after acquiring a new phone, I still cannot log into some of my accounts because the London Police Service holds the phone that my two-factor authentication goes to. I need your help because I can't do this alone. I started a GoFundMe to move immediately, recoup my losses, and build a legal fund to protect my rights. I do not yet know when I'm going to be returning to broadcasting on Twitch. When I was woken up by police officers and saw the assault rifle pointed at me, I thought I was going to die. I feel traumatized. I just want everyone to know what happened and to ask for help so I can seek justice for what happened to me.
That's quite the monotone. I like the voice. This sounds like a terrible situation. It sounds like it cost Keffels a lot of money. Her fiance sounds fucked. I mean, it sounds terrible, right?
Yeah, it sounds terrible, and I think it really gave the impression they were in some degree of financial need. Do you think that's fair to say?
Totally. Yeah.
So that.
We need the money to get back on.
Yeah, they it sound like they can't really make a living. So that video went up on August 9th and included the claim that they wouldn't get that hard drive back for months. The very next day, August 10th, she did a Twitch stream that's now titled, "I Got My Stuff Back." She tells her fans she got her stuff back, and her fiance got their stuff back too. So it turned out to take one day, not many months. And at the start of that video, she repeats the claim that she was assault rifled in the face. So, there were also the leaked chat logs posted earlier this week, the ones with Winter that appear to show her saying the GoFundMe is going to go to her savings account until she needs it. She just hasn't really been clear what the fundraising's for. She talks vaguely about how her rights were violated, but it's not clear what's going on. I don't expect someone who goes through something this traumatic to recall every detail with perfect accuracy. But the story she told allowed her to raise about $100,000 to save up for something, and it's not really clear what that is.
And did she have when you have a GoFundMe, right, you set like a target? What was the actual target?
Oh no.
What's the goal as 100,000? I don't know if it gets boosted, if you can boost it all the way.
No! Jesse didn't know this! Oh no, wait, did he not know? Hold on.
Her fiance sounds fucked.
I don't think it's for months. The very next day, August 10th.
Oh, he corrects it in part 2, okay.
I got my stuff back.
That was fast.
She tells her fans she got her stuff back, and her fiance got their stuff back too. So it turned out to take one day, not many months. And at the start of that video, she repeats the claim that she was assault rifled in the face. So, there were also the leaked chat logs posted earlier this week, the ones with Winter that appear to show her saying the GoFundMe is going to go in her savings account until she needs it. She just hasn't really been clear what the fundraising's for. She talks vaguely about how her rights were violated, but it's not clear what's going on. I don't expect someone who goes through something this traumatic to recall every detail with perfect accuracy. But the story she told allowed her to raise about $100,000 to save up for something, and it's not really clear what that is.
And did she have when you have a GoFundMe, right, you set like a target? What was the actual target?
It just lists the goal at 100,000. I don't know if it gets boosted, if you can boost it all the way.
Okay, so her goal was $100,000. So she told people she needed $100,000.
Yeah, unless there's something where you can start at 20 million.
Oh, there are skip buttons.
Okay.
So I don't think it's unfair to point these things out. Also, it's never really been clear why she had to flee to Europe, which is like just this little thing just sitting here, right?
How much does it cost to fly to Europe these days?
So journalists have
Did she need a private plane?
Journalists have used her intercontinental travel to add a dash of mystique and danger to the story. The headline of the Ben Collins article at NBC News goes, anti-trained stalkers at Cuban farms are chasing one victim around the world. They're listing targets.
Oh my god.
Well, explain that reaction.
She says that they're not chasing her around the world. She's telling them, hey, she's telling them where she's going, and she made the choice to leave.
Yet,
like she could have gone to like London, from London, Ontario. She could have just gone down the street.
Ottawa. Yeah.
Ottawa,
No. This what's been so weird about the coverage is like no one's supposed to explain why anything that happened actually required her going to Europe. Like if she wants to go to Europe, by all means. I bet Northern Ireland's a cool place to hang out this time of year, but especially if you're not going to take any security precautions and you're going with this storyline where your life is at risk and you have to raise money. Like people are going to ask questions about that.
They're not going to ask questions about that.
It's a little weird, man. Also, like, if it were just a couple of discrepancies, it would be one thing, but it's not hard to find other instances of Keppels just being dishonest. So, like, Keppels has beef with everyone, but Keppels has a long-running beef with Lauren Southern, where the history was like grotesque, alt-right bullshit. The reason we'll get to in a moment,
True.
Lauren Southern accused Keppels of grooming. Keppels responded by saying that Southern was on the Jeffrey Epstein flight logs and justified it as follows. Katie, click that link.
To start off this discussion, I think I need to show you all something. Lauren Southern blocked me. After all the shit she said, after all the fights we got into, she finally blocked me. And do you know why she blocked me? Because I asked her why she was on the Epstein flight logs. That's why. It really seems like she has something to hide, doesn't it? But
What is the implication there? Is Lauren a child rapist? Damn, I didn't even know this. We're getting into the deep lore. Oh my god.
I think it's quite funny. It seems like people really do not like being accused of being a pedophile on the internet. It's too bad she would never do the same thing to me. Oh wait, yeah, she did. She did exactly that. So when I did it back, no, blocked. She can't take it.
Okay, so Lauren Southern was not on the Epstein flight logs. I take it.
She
didn't hang out with Jeffrey Epstein. She didn't hang out with Canadian reporters from
Shocking. But you can see how
I thought was she like one of the massage therapists?
But you can see how Keppels was explicitly saying, this person lied about me, so I'm going to lie about them, right?
Yeah.
And she tweeted the flight logs thing in a way where people, without knowing the full context, were going to believe it and spread it. She also, her thing with Destiny got really ugly. I'm not going to include a clip of it here, but I watched a scene from her stream where she accused Destiny of stealthing, which is secretly removing a condom during sex, which is rape. Then there's a very long pause as her stream freaks out in the chat, and then eventually she walks it back. So it just, she has like a little bit of a history of slipperiness about facts and a willingness to use whatever tactics it takes, as long as the target is right. Okay, so on top of all this controversy, there are two other issues that are prominent in her Kiwi Farms entry and in the sort of dark legend of Keppels. These are rumors about Keppels that have spread far. One is to claim that she groomed minors. Now, online, and you'll know this if you've listened to this podcast before, any accusation that X groomed Y should be met with extreme caution. People throw this shit around constantly, right?
Absolutely, and they use grooming. The term grooming has really stretched.
Yeah.
So now it also means like ideological indoctrination.
Kiwi Farms is gleefully confident that Keppels groomed people, and they claim they have screenshots to support it. Long story, mercifully short, they don't. I have not seen any evidence to suggest that Keppels actually groomed a minor. Keppels did run a Discord server called
Oh no, don't.
called Catboy Ranch. Catboy Ranch had minors on it. The rumor she's a groomer, that rhymes, stems from screenshots supposedly leaked from there. Except the source that seems to know what they're talking about told me that those screenshots might actually have been from another Discord server called Femboy Hangout. That would be a good match. You could roll with Femboy Hangout.
I'm already in it. I'm in it right now.
So yes, Keppels ran this Catboy Ranch. She did not run Femboy Hangout, but she hung out there. There's some weird and questionable stuff that went on in these places, including the minors, but none of it involves Keppels directly. There's no proof that Keppels groomed someone. And that's a horrible rumor to spread if you don't have evidence. There's one instance in which someone posts a photo of themselves and Keppels does a little hubba hubba, and the guy says their ass is fat and asks what the pronouns are, and then everyone's like, this person was underage, but she didn't know that. It's the most marginal case ever. The other true rumor about Keppels is that she helps to supply hormones to trans kids with their parents' permission.
Is that legal, Jesse?
Setting aside the legality question, I think the answer is no. She runs something called the DIY HRT directory, or she sponsors it. This is a resource to help trans people get hormones, including minors. Keffels is tight with a person named Chloe, aka @BobPosting, who is even more outspoken about these efforts. For example, Bob Posting once said on Twitter, "I got like 500 plus minors on HRT." Destiny responded by calling him an actual pedophile, which I don't think it doesn't make him a pedophile. It might make him a criminal. If you follow the million links flying around in the Keffelsverse, you will likely get to some dark places. There's at least one company that produces estrogen in these cutesy sort of anime-style boxes. And whatever your views on minors and hormones and puberty blockers, this is just like a really incredibly controversial thing to do or to talk about online openly. People do not respond well to the idea of adults helping kids get medication behind their parents' backs. I think that is like a good faith concern, whatever your views on trans issues, right?
Yeah, probably not something that you should attach your name to.
None of what I just said a lot about Keffels. I just criticized Keffels a lot. None of that is to justify her getting harassed and doxxed or to deny the role a site like Kiwi Farms undoubtedly plays in exacerbating everything. That's not my point. Here's my point. My point is Keffels is an internet famous person who has made a ton of enemies. Destiny's fans on Twitch alone before he got booted constituted 700,000 people who were probably mostly young and very online. She also has some sort of whole other fight that I had no time to understand with the Quartering, a YouTuber with 1.3 million subscribers. So if the goal is to figure out who is responsible for violent threats or swatting her, I just don't know why you would start with Kiwi Farms. Kiwi Farms wasn't even the only site to dox her. There's this other notorious doxing site that is basically just doxing. This is a site where when you go there, you're literally greeted with a drawing of Satan's head glowering at you as it loads.
He doesn't say,
Keffels was
right?
doxed there on August 22nd, and her dox has been at the top of that site ever since, meaning God knows how many sociopaths have gained access to a lot of her personal information.
Gotcha. Okay, so we don't know for sure that all of this came from Kiwi Farms, or any of it came from Kiwi Farms.
This is the site where if you mention it or you ask about it, I permaban you from everything.
With this sort of online fuckery, there's genuinely no way to know. And anytime you assume about the identity or motives of anonymous online trolls, you're likely to regret it later on, because these stories are very confusing and difficult to report on.
This kind of reminds me of the January 6th stuff, where there was this giant campaign to deplatform the site where
None of what I just said a lot about Keffels. I just created this thing called the DIY HRT directory, or she sponsors it. This is a resource to help trans people get hormones, including minors. Keffels is tight with a person named Chloe, aka @BobPosting, who is even more outspoken about these efforts. For example, Bob Posting once said on Twitter, "I got like 500 plus minors on HRT." Destiny responded by calling him an actual pedophile, which I don't think it's a good move. That doesn't make you a pedophile. It might make you a criminal. If you follow the million links flying around in the Keffelsverse, you will likely get to some dark places. There's at least one company that produces estrogen in these cutesy sort of anime-style boxes. And whatever your views on minors and hormones and puberty blockers, this is just like a really incredibly controversial thing to do or to talk about online openly. People do not respond well to the idea of adults helping kids get medication behind their parents' backs. I think that is like a good faith concern, whatever your views on trans issues, right?
Yeah, probably not something that you should attach your name to.
None of what I just said a lot about Keffels. I just criticized Keffels a lot. None of that is to justify her getting harassed and doxxed or to deny the role a site like Kiwi Farms undoubtedly plays in exacerbating everything. That's not my point. Here's my point. My point is Keffels is an internet famous person who has made a ton of enemies. Destiny's fans on Twitch alone before he got booted constituted 700,000 people who were probably mostly young and very online. She also has some sort of whole other fight that I had no time to understand with the Quartering, a YouTuber with 1.3 million subscribers. So if the goal is to figure out who is responsible for violent threats or swatting her, I just don't know why you would start with Kiwi Farms. Kiwi Farms wasn't even the only site to dox her. There's this other notorious doxing site that is basically just doxing. This is a site where when you go there, you're literally greeted with a drawing of Satan's head glowering at you as it loads.
He doesn't say,
Keffels was
right?
doxed there on August 22nd, and her dox has been at the top of that site ever since, meaning God knows how many sociopaths have gained access to a lot of her personal information.
Gotcha. Okay, so we don't know for sure that all of this came from Kiwi Farms, or any of it came from Kiwi Farms.
This is the site where if you mention it or you ask about it, I permaban you from everything.
With this sort of online fuckery, there's genuinely no way to know. And anytime you assume about the identity or motives of anonymous online trolls, you're likely to regret it later on, because these stories are very confusing and difficult to report on.
This kind of reminds me of the January 6th stuff, where there was this giant campaign to deplatform the site Parler because people were saying that the January 6 riots were organized on Parler. And then subsequent reporting, I believe, found that much of it was organized on Facebook. But Parler is a right-wing site, and so instead of calling for Facebook to take Facebook out off of the internet, people just focused on fucking Parler.
Yeah, a lot of this is just, it's about Kiwi Farms is a bad place that has made a lot of enemies because people have been personally affected by it. But the reporting that we know that the folks doxing her or swatting her are from there, there's just not necessarily great evidence to support that.
Okay, well, what about this photo in Ireland? I mean, that seems pretty clear that it came from Kiwi Farms, right?
That's a great question, Katie. And guess what?
What?
I found the kid who said he did it, and I talked to him, and I know the answer.
All right.
Oh
Let's gonna have to
my
wait till
God.
Fuck, okay.
As always, we're produced with help from Tracing Woodgrits. I'm Jesse Single, and remember, we'll be back soon.
And I'm Katie Herzog. And also remember, even if you don't care who threatened Keffels, don't you want to come back and find out why we had that dumb moment of silence for the Queen?
Wow. Aren't you guys excited when we come back tomorrow and listen to part 2 of this? Let me throw out a quick one. You know what? If I get below 900, maybe we'll just listen. If I get below 900, maybe we'll just listen to it right now. Okay, hold on.
Bye.